left. I have this cross wrist. I'm on this side. Once they start getting it, you start branching out and teaching them the other wrist rides and how to manipulate the body in your favor from here. So if I'm in master position here, and Amir's doing a good job of getting this hip down and start to fight this wrist through, get it through, I'm going to come into 2-on-1. Just roll right underneath. Now I'm covering the hips again. Come right back to master position. And I can do all my 2-on-1 moves. 2-on-1 tilt, switch it to a ball and chain. You have all those options. Also, I can let go of the cross wrist at this point, keep the near wrist, and hop to this side. Now I have the same concept, but with the near wrist. My pressure is going on the back of his tricep, keeping the pressure down, but I have all the same moves here. Turks, come through, the halves and pose. So the drill that we do with the kids is once they get to master position, this guy is trying to get his wrist out. He can't get up. He's only allowed to try and free his wrist. The top guy has to switch between cross wrist, near wrist, and 2-on-1. And it trains them to consistently work for the wrist. So in a match, when this guy's fighting for it, he's coming in here, I roll it, and pull it back out, and I switch it, cross wrist. The whole time, I'm just switching different wrist controls on the same wrist, but I'm keeping him flat, I'm gliding, and out to the side. I'm doing all the fundamental things that I need my kid to do. And again, when you're doing those things right, then those opportunities pop up like crazy. Oh, the hand's there. The cradle's there. He puts his arm up, I got the bar. When you look for those things before completing the fundamental checklist, whatever you want to call it, that's when you get in trouble. So, our guys, I make sure in practice to really try and drill into them, get them flat, get them flat, get them flat. And that is the absolute ultimate. And after, we've all been on bottom. After a dude sort of like roughs you up for 20 seconds and you're stuck there, mentally, fuck, this sucks. You've already won that battle there. So all good things in that direction is I come here, I get my brakes down, and we come to this point where I get the wrist and I hop sides there. And this guy keeps this hip up, that's when we teach him we're looking for a half. Because the hip's up. And you might not even get it. That's okay. You're looking for the half, so he clamps down, you don't get it. That's fine, go back to the wrist. Now he's not going to keep this hip up, he's going to hit the other hip down. When he does that, it's when I switch to a ball and chain. So he gave me it. So he hit this down, gave me this hip, so I switch hands, ball and chain through the legs. Now, I come with the Torello tilt, come underneath, take him this way. Just as an example, from master position, no matter what this guy does, we have a move, or moves, to counter his dummy thoughts of getting up, right? So, yep. So I've done that too. So if I'm here, go flat. On this ball and chain, and this guy actually makes it that close, so yeah, I would actually keep the wrist. I would keep this wrist behind the knee, and I would put it behind the knee because he's strong on the thigh. The knee is weak. He's not kicking that leg back down. Once I know that leg's stuck, he's screwed. Because now I'm going to come around and I'm going to raise his face upwards towards it, get my cradle on. Back. So yes, that's what I was getting at. Once that guy's flat, whatever you want to teach works because he's flat. So when we put the technique videos up, I'll put all kinds of outlets and then we'll come up with ideas on what we want to show technique-wise. But just to give you an idea, once you get them there, it's your domain. Now top's fun.
And another thing we harp on our guys too is staying in good position to always be able to control the hips, because when all else fails, if your moves aren't working or this guy's starting to come up, you want to be able to spin behind, control the hips, because as long as you control the hips, you're in control. So make sure the guys, when they are getting out to the side, they're not coming all the way up to the guy's head and shoulders, so that way he's out of position.
So notice when I'm here, my shoulder is in the lower back and I'm covering his hip. Like Coach is saying, some of the kids will end up like this. And they're way out here. Now there's no pressure on the hips. There's pressure on his upper back, but that doesn't keep his hips from getting the base, so he builds his base here. And I really can't stop him because the pressure's not there. But if I would have just moved my shoulder 8 inches down, now get up. Right. So that distance from here to here, and having my hips up by his head and instead of over his hips. Huge, huge, huge. And when they're 6, you're more than me. When they're 10, you're a little bit more strict, and then when I get them, if they're doing it. But at the end of the day, all of these things are just going to pay off so much once the kids get it for a year. It starts to show second nature for it. The other part of this is you're not, I think I said it when I was doing the bottoms here, as you get older, probably more towards the intermediate age and above, some kids are tough. Some kids have been lifting. Some kids are just that psycho wrestler that has that strength you don't really understand. Whatever the case is, you're not always going to be able to break it down. And when you get to high school, I stress this to these guys a lot, is you're not going to be able to break them down off the whistle a lot. Because just like I don't want you getting broken down off the whistle, they've been lifting, they're maturing, they're teenage boys that are hitting puberty and getting testosterone and whatnot. They're not just going to go. So on top, maybe I get a half a jam because he's sitting back, and I only get him to back here. Wasn't perfect, but it kept his first move stop. I go to get my tight waist, but it's not perfect. Now I'm trying to get it, even when it's not working because I didn't do everything right. That's going to happen. That's wrestling. Like Coach was just saying, I have to cover these things. So I'm here and I'm not getting what I want. That's okay. Even if I'm here, I'll ride on these guys like this a lot. I mean, this is an advanced thing where I put the knee here, but I really just want them covering the hips. Hit the jam, covering the hips, working your tight waist, trying to get a breakdown. But understanding that if he does what he's supposed to do, it's more in his favor. Bottom top should really be like a 60-40 bottom guy. Because you really shouldn't get broken down off the whistle as you get older. So because of that, we're preparing for the stand-up. That's what's usually going to come. So once I hit this, if I can't get my breakdown, then I'm still covering his hips. When he starts to come up to his feet, I'm right here, ready. You ready? I'll come back up. I'm already ready. He can't. So once I beat him to this spot with these hands locked, I won't say he's screwed, but I would really have to mess up and give up on him too. Because I'm going to cover it. But first, I'm looking to mat return him instantly. So our mat returns are not like what you see most places. Most times in high school, I'll see the mat return come from behind. The kid's behind him, he's trying to...
This and knee sweep.
It's too hard, especially if the kid's taller than you. It's real hard. So it's not about your arm strength. What you're looking to do is lock the hip down. So I take my hands, I lock them, and I pick a hip. I learned this from Matt Valeni. So I call it the Valeni. I don't really know if there's a real name for it, but I put this lock on the hip. I pinch my elbows in. I pinch my elbows in this way and in this way. I want no space in there. So here I pinch in, I pinch in. So now his hip is a part of my body. This leg, the one that was my right leg, but the leg that's on the opposite of this lock is actually going to step behind him across his body. It feels awkward at first. I'm going to step behind him here. Then this trail leg is going to take a big step all the way around, and it's going to give me the torque to pop my hips and launch him. So I'll try and do it slow, even though it's a little harder. Step, big step here. Now he's loaded. All I have to do is pop my hips. It's done. I didn't have to lift up my arms. I didn't have to. It's the same thing on the other side if I lock it. If I lock here, this foot comes behind. The further I can step this, the further I can get this one around. So when I'm teaching the kids, slow at first, big step, big step. But here's what most kids end up doing. When they do that second step, this lock shifts. Because that's what they feel like they should do. But you just lost all that torque. So this has to stay here. So even when I come around, it's still here. So now that I got my hip, it's easy for him to bend and turn. Whereas if I'm here on the other hip, it's the same thing. He's trying to lift from behind. I have no torque. So I lock on the hips, step behind, maybe step around, down. And so our coach was saying the other day, the drills for that will make it a two-man drill. This guy's got to hit a good standing. Top guy's got to hit a good mat return. This guy's got to land like a cat. Hit another good standard. This time get away. Then hit him with a takedown. Now it's the other guy's turn. You can make it a 2-minute drill, just not stop moving. You can make it a learning thing. But getting them to understand that trips from here are garbage. Yeah, you'll get it sometimes. Yeah, you can get lucky and you can land the right way. You can also get really unlucky and have them pull them all out. So, a lot of kids trip because they're either out of breath, that's all they got left, or they don't know a proper mat return, so that's what they rely on. But it almost always comes to catch them. If you have an arm, you're not allowed to lift, because it's potentially dangerous. If I lift him and take him there, he can't protect himself. You won't be able to put that arm out. So if you have an arm, most times at the younger kid level, they probably won't say much because it's hard to super bad. Our high school level and some of the NJI, if this arm's trapped, I cannot take him into the air and slam him into the mat because he has nothing to protect himself. So if we have an arm caught in there, say, this is going to be like a lever action on his hip. I'm going to bring it straight down on the inside of his hip here, and it will buckle his hip as I turn it and come down. But I can do it without the arm, but this is specifically in case it's caught. I don't want to let this grip go. I'm putting all my weight from my arm on the inside of his thigh here. Pushing, and he has to go. I'll show you without the arm to get the motion. I'm coming here and pushing down. And the more that I buckle that hip, he's got to go. And it doesn't take strength. It doesn't take, brute force. It's just a quick boop, and he's going to fall. That's infinitely better than the trip. So the kids that are tripping, it works for them in the match. Whatever, good job, good win. But we got to work on that mat return tomorrow because that trip's going to cost you in a tight match. So mat returns off of the beginning stuff from the jam and getting the wrist doesn't go your way, and that guy starts coming up. Got to get them hands locked. If I don't get these hands locked in time, he beats me to it and starts getting a wrist. Before he gets away, I'm dropping to the leg. Always. And coming right back up to my feet. If I don't have to go to my knees, that's fine too. I want to drop to that leg and come to my feet so I don't get hit with a stall. But at the little kid level, there's a lot less stalling. Refs let things go. So if we're here and Amir's starting to get away, maybe I got my hands locked, but they're not great. They're starting to break, drop to that leg. Now I'm still in control. I'm still in top control. I can finish my moves, go back down, and keep wrestling. So the drill would be, bottom guy, all you can do is stand up and get away. Top guy, you have to hold him for 30 seconds. However that may be. Good breakdown and a rise, good mat return. If he messes up, you got to hold on to that leg. Training them to not give up, not stop working towards it. Because a lot of kids, there could be 10 seconds left in the match, and they give up the escape, and me and him will look at each other like, oh, just drop to the leg for 10 seconds. All those little things. The younger they learn them, the more it gets ingrained, and it's just second nature for them. So, again, top is about riding to get him flat and get a wrist. And the rest of it is applicable to pretty much all wrestling coaches can go from there. We all know moves, and most of them work when you're in position. So when we get those kids doing all those things correctly and putting them in those positions, they're going to see success rise quickly. And that should breed more success in terms of they'll buy in. Oh, it worked, so I'll keep doing it, that kind of thing. On top, flat, let me start with just turning it here. On top, when you're younger, again, refs are less likely to call stalling than as you get older. And this is something you can do from, I need to teach the tots, I don't know how much you'll actually do it, but from at least the bands on up, is if I don't have a wrist, I did a breakdown, I lost a wrist, or I didn't get it, or I'm still learning and it didn't go perfect. If I don't have a wrist here, and Amir's doing a good job keeping his palms in the mat, and I can't get the wrist and everything he can, what I can do is Bronco ride here. So what I'm going to do is put both knees on either side of his hip, and then both toes inside both knees. So it's going to go like this here. So I'm pinching on the hips, but I'm expanding on the toes. So I'm here like this. I don't need hands. Can you get up? There's no way. There's just no way. Because I'm splitting his leg.